Alright, how's it going everyone? This is Rick from R&M Reviews, and, R. Wexler on the forums, I think I'm Richard Wexler on Facebook, but alright. I'm gonna skip my usual intro, vape face, big clouds, whatnot, just jump right into the review. Today I'm going to be covering the Nahual Genesis Atomizer. For starters, the Nahual, it was available via a list on Vape. The original price was $115 US plus $5.15 for shipping, so $120.15 in the US. And then for international customers, shipping was an additional $16.95, so $131.95. Now, the Nahual, it is manufactured by a modder named Urquidezj, first name Julio. Urk's been one of the more discreet modders and custom addy and mod builders in the last, say, 2 years now he's been doing it. But I think one of the most talented by far. Now, for a little bit of reference, Urquidezj, he's a professional machinist by trade. Now, what he makes is surgical implements. So he does custom tools for surgeons all across the United States. In particular, I know he does very tiny, precise surgical syringes for liposuction and other facets of plastic surgery, as well as lances for separating skin from flesh and scalpels, but so on and so forth. Bottom line is that the machining quality of his atomizer is what you would expect from a man who makes surgical implements. It is of surgical grade quality. It is by far the most precisely manufactured device that I have ever seen. And that holds true even if you think about the Zens, the Caravella, the Dids, the Hellfire. The machining on this is better. Now, I am a stickler for smooth threads, tight tolerances, well-designed positive posts, 510 connectors, everything, and this has all of those things. It is quite nearly a perfect device. That's that out of the way. Give it a quick spin so you can see the engravings here. It is serial number 2, mine. In the first run that the list was for, there were 20 devices sold. Based on the interest after those 20 hit all the customers and people talk, and see where the rest of the community's at. I know Urk is considering doing another run. I think there is a formal interest list over on the Vape Pit, so if you are interested in picking one of these up, your best bet for now is just go add your name to that list. But I'll throw a link up to that list here in the description. But give it a spin, and if you notice the top cap, customers are able to custom spec the dimensions of the holes in the top cap. So I went with dual 1mm air holes, which is one of my personal favorite setups. And then, so on the back end, the Nahual engraving on there, really cool, kind of tribal graph-inspired font there. If you notice, top cap, it does have that nice chamfer, almost a rounded effect to it. That's pretty much it, and I will divulge into a comprehensive full breakdown tutorial for this one, but that's pretty much it for the external aesthetics. So here we go. So here's the basic post assembly. I firmly believe that the true foundation of every Genesis atomizer is the post assembly, and the tiny little details that go into just designing a means of hooking up the 2 leads of the wire to a positive and a ground connection and squeezing in a hole for a wick. Little details that go into designing it can result in either an awesome Jenny or a dud, a chud, a whatever garbage, worthless device. And that's the difference between a 2mm difference in the wick placement or the positive post placement or the diameters of the nuts. And it does take a lot of finesse to really craft the perfect post assembly. And right here, I think Urquidezj has come up with the perfect post assembly. All right, for starters, elephant in the room, there is only one post. There are not two posts as you normally see in the Genesis Addy. Like typically you have the ground post, which is usually off to the side somewhere, like right about there. And then you have the positive post, which is in the center for the most part. Now, what Urquidezj did here is he devised a means of connecting both ends of the wire to what is essentially one single post. So, as you can see here, at the very bottom of the top plate, that little thumb screw there is actually securing the ground wire, and then just above it, the two kind of cut off circular nuts with the little barbs. Those are your positive nuts, and those secure obviously the positive lead. Now, I think it's just brilliant. He has one post. There's nothing else in the top cap to interrupt the flow dynamics. There's no extra gap of resistance wire from the ground connection to the wick hole that is essentially going to add unwanted and unneeded resistance to the circuit, and subsequently your devices won't perform as efficiently as they could. Now we're talking about tenths of an ohm, and for most of you, it doesn't matter. Personally, I'm really looking for the ultimate vape, and whatever is going to give me the absolute max performance, and that is what we have here so far. I mean, the leads connect perfectly. The distance between the edge of the wick hole to the edge of the ground nut and to the edge of the positive nuts is minuscule. I could measure it out, but it can't be more than maybe 0.05 of a millimeter. It's tiny. The tolerances are just so precise. Everything is so beautifully turned. You really couldn't ask for more in a positive post assembly. Now, there is one truly fatal drawback to such an innovative design, and that's that he's going to get ripped off, and it's such a shame, but if the Chinese don't get their hands on it first, some scummy manufacturer is just going to rip him off. I guess that's just the way the world, the little guy does get shit on from time to time by big business, but Urk did it first. Urk is just the true innovator in this case, and I think it's really important to point that out. He is undoubtedly a genius machinist, and go as far as say an inventor, but he's also one real humble cat, and he's not going to be out on the forums self-promoting and talking about how he invented it, but I'm happy to go out, just really give him my praise. The design, it's just brilliant. It's brilliant, it's fresh, it's innovative, and it just works. It works, and it works beautifully. So that's what we've got here for the positive post. Take note that the wick hole, it is 2.7 millimeters, so it's bigger than the Hellfire Mini, which is, I think, 2, and a little bit smaller than the Timon D16, which is 3.4. So it's actually 0.7 of a millimeter larger than the Mini and 0.7 smaller than the Timon, and it's just perfect. And then the fill hole, it is 2 millimeters. That's really all there is to say about the positive post assembly itself. Alright, next up is the means of securing the top cap onto the top plate. As you can see, it does have an O-ring, so it's the quote-quote adjustable draw top cap configuration. And if you know me and you know my reviews, typically I am just not a fan. I would rather have a threaded top cap than an O-ring secured top cap. But there are exceptions, and in keeping with, I guess, the motif of surgical precision that we're working with here with the Nahual Just gonna pop this top cap on and show you. It's perfect. Perfect little click in, no wiggles. It is perfect. Really not much to show here, but this is just a quick close-up of the top cap. As you can see, the air holes are perfectly stacked, one on top of the other, which is actually surprisingly difficult to execute. Obviously, no burrs. Feel like a broken record saying no burrs, it's perfect, but I guess it has to be said. And then see the chamfer on the top cap. A quick spin, so you can see the rest of it here. Perfect finish. Having a lot of trouble filming this because it is just so reflective that you see more of my camera than you do of the finish, but if that's Orc's biggest problem, then he's doing all right. But all right, that's the exterior. And here's the interior of the top cap. And frankly, there are only so many ways to describe a top cap, but just doing this to get a really good close-up of some of the finer cuts in here, and the bore is, it could not be done any better. I'll leave it at that. You can see for yourself, it's perfect. Alright, here's the fully disassembled Nahual. Now I'll quickly go through and explain all the parts. Top cap, top plate, tank, 510 connector. Here's the positive post, 2 positive nuts, insulator, ground nut, and the center tube. Another quick detail, just gonna go ahead and point out that everything that could be polished is polished. Even the center channel is polished. The upper end of the 510 connector is polished. Here's a cleaner shot of the top of the post assembly. Mirror finish, mirror finish, mirror finish. And one other detail that I failed to mention is that it does come with a plug for the fill hole. It's a nice little custom turned plug. That is good tight fit in there. Okay, now I'm going to go over the full assembly of the Nahual. So check that out. This is the interior of the top plate, and that has been totally cleaned out to increase the tank capacity. Side note, but alright, here we go. First off, the center channel. As you can see, the threaded end is quite a bit larger on one end. That's what's going to go in the center post. Or the top plate, I should say. Threads right on. Okay. Next up, the tank. Now, most of you will want to line up the engravings, so the way I do this. Just eyeball it, line it all up. That looks just about perfect. So then the next thing we're going to want to put on is the 510 cap. Now as you start to thread this on, it is going to twist the tank around. So the easiest way to avoid that is, I don't have it out here with me right now, but take a strap wrench and lock these two parts together, and then screw the 510 cap on. This isn't going to be perfect for now, just for the sake of timeliness. Good to go. Okay, next up, now that you can see how that center channel, those threads do extend into the top cap assembly, you can see how the ground connection is made. Okay, that thread's on. So you can see there, totally flat flush on there. Okay, next step, the insulator. This is the same insulator that's in the interior of the 510 connector. And all right, this insulator, the tapered end, it is only 0.005 millimeters smaller than the inner diameter of this center tube. So 5/1000ths of a millimeter. It can be a little tricky to get in there. But just be patient with it. Give it a wiggle. And it's all in. All right, next up, center post. And keep the little flathead screw, the foot, face down. Take our first positive nut. And the rough end is going to go face down for now. Okay. And once you have it on there, finger tight, screwdriver, the base, 510, just lock that in as tight as possible. Next up, and also take note, they are all custom ground, and the grinding is done by hand so that this lines up as close to perfect over the wick hole as possible. Final positive nut. It's almost a perfect 90 degrees offset, so when you have resistance wire in there, ideally they should be as close to flush as possible. And the plug hole and top cap, and then we're done. That's it. There we go. This puppy's been disassembled for a good hour and a half. Been dying for a vape, but there we go. That's the Nahual. So if you've seen this, hopefully you know everything there is to know about the Nahual, but really performance is just stellar. Just can take 1 or 2 drags. You don't need to sit there and watch me vape for 5 minutes. Do silly faces for you to get that. It can blow some gnarly clouds, but here you go. Really, it's just awesome. At kind of a loss for words to describe it. It's the best performing Genesis Addy that I have right now. I think Urk is going to take that a step further when he upgrades a couple little parts here and there to brass. But for now, it's just awesome. Throat hit, 10 out of 10. I'm not even going to rate everything because I would just give everything a 10, but which I'm reluctant to do because I know that this is the best for now. Who knows where we'll be in a week, a month, a year. The sky's the limit. The tech is new, growing every day. But for now, this is the best that I've tried. I hate to... I spent probably 5 hours tonight just filming, and I'll probably spend another 3 or 4 cutting and editing everything down, but I hate to spend the time on something that there are only 20 units available, or 20 units in existence at this point. So hopefully, if you watch this and you are interested in obtaining one for yourself, definitely make your way over to vapepit.net. Put yourself down as interested in getting one. And yeah, right now, it's just epic. Gotta take a couple of last pulls. Guess we'll call this a review. Couldn't be happier. Thank you so much, Urk. Best of luck. Hopefully, if you do get copied, which I have the gut feeling it's just inevitable. But if you do, and when you do, hopefully those individuals will make right about face and cough up some substantial royalties for jocking on your design. But right on, brother. Good job. Really happy. Thank you.